Good morning, Shankar, Sayantan, and everybody else here, Dr. Raman, Dr. Amit, and other friends. I'm so happy that we have teams from Bangladesh, Bhutan, and other parts of our country. I must say that since 1984, I've been off and on going to Bhutan, and I'm deeply inspired by the culture, by the conservation ethic, and the creativity of the young people in that country. Some of them have got award in the past. So I'm very happy that we are once again, I have taken my students to Bhutan twice, thanks to my dear friend Ashok Maura, with whom we have had long relationship. So, and Bangladesh, I spent a year. So I'm very happy that I'm revisiting some of my memories of these two wonderful neighbors of ours and a great culture. Both are very great culture in terms of their intellectual prowess, in terms of their lightheartedness, in terms of conservation ethic and inclusivity of society. Now, I realize I have seen the problems that you have addressed. And I was asking myself, how could I add value in a few minutes that we are going to spend together? So first, I must compliment you all, the teams, that you responded to the challenge that was given to you, whether it was about automobile, whether it was about water or other areas of social development. You have responded to them with great imagination. And you have proved that unmet needs can be a great driver of creative thinking. Now, how do we map unmet needs? So let's take the case of water. When you try to look at water, there are many ways in which one deals with water. So in hill areas, water comes through various streams. So I remember we met a child in Sikkim who had a great idea. He said, look, why do we give water filter? Why do we have to use water filter at our houses? Why can't we install the water filter in the tank in which the streams are, the water is stored and then distributed in the community so that nobody will have to spend money and not everyone will have to spend money to have a water filter at their home. It was a good idea, simple idea, and it could be so effective and at the same time save money for the poor people who cannot afford to have a water filter. For those who don't know that many times the water which appears very clean in hills cannot always be drunk because water which comes through the rocks can only be drunk. But water which flows on the surface, no matter how clean it is, you do not drink because animals, feces of the animals, excreta of the animals can have a lot of E. coli, which can mix with the water and cause infections to us and adversely affect our health. So these are the things that people have known, and they know which stream can be used for drinking and which not. So that brings me to the next question, that how do we learn from the knowledgeable people in our society, the elders in our society? In every family, in every community, in every neighborhood, there are elderly people, of course, grandparents and parents and other granduncles. And how do we recognize that some of them, during their younger days, when they were of age that you are, had learned to live very frugally? I'm very fond of giving this example that when I was a child and we had to bring things from the market, there was no culture of envelopes. If at all, there were some paper envelopes. But 90% of the things we did not get in the envelopes. And how did we bring them from the shop? Loose things. So there used to be pieces of newspaper on one side, heap of newspaper pieces, cut pieces. And there used to be a ball of thread hanging from the roof. The shopkeeper will take the piece of paper, put the things, wrap it, and then tie the piece of thread on that and give it to you. Now, this was a packet, very sustainable packet. You come home, my grandfather will tell me, now please take out your things. So we take out the things. He will take the piece of paper, spread it under the bed so that it remains straight, wrinkle-free. For the next time, if you have to give someone something, we can use the same piece of paper. And then you will hang that piece of thread, 1 meter long thread. Even that was not thrown away. It was hung on a nail. Next time you need to give something to someone, wrap it, tie it, give it. Sustainable packaging. So much waste can be avoided. And it is so flexible, so flexible in terms of the kind of material that you have. You can wrap it around easily. You can use 2 pieces. Can we learn about circular economy, which was there in our DNA in this part of the world? All of us were very conscious of not producing waste. Then how did it happen that over the years, within 2 generations, we have become so wasteful economy? We need to reflect on this, that there are certain strengths in each culture of ours which must be restored, which must be revived, which must be made relevant for the contemporary needs, because we cannot afford to live the way Western societies live, because there's not enough space on this earth to put together all the waste that is produced in those kind of societies, if we were to live like that. So I would mention that first is the unmet need, second is how do we learn from the elders, third issue now arises when there are problems which in almost in every part of the world, but certainly in developing countries, in our neighborhood, South Asia, those problems are more conspicuous among certain segments of our family than others. In other words, problems that women face tend to undergo much slower change in technology than the problems that men face. And in this case, even the grassroots innovators sometimes show the male bias. To give you an example, in your kitchen, sometime you might have seen your mother, rarely your father. In some families, fathers also work, but not very often. They should, of course. And then when you lift a vessel of hot milk or hot tea or something from the gas, what do? You use a piece of cloth. Sometimes women use the piece of pallu of their sari, and it can catch fire if it is inflammable. We couldn't design good tongs to bring that vessel down without having instability. So there are many examples. So once I was teaching a course in IIT Bombay. Some of you must have heard of that institute. It's the premier institute of our country. And I asked the children, who eats the cold food in your family? And you know the answer? Very hesitatingly, they all said, mother. I said, that's very strange. She will give you birth. She will bring you up. She will send you to IIT. As this course was in IIT Bombay, along with the Chakravarti, DK Chakravarti Industrial Design Center. And I said, no, she has to eat cold food. So I gave an assignment to them. We said, for 1 week, you have to cook hot food for your mother. Now, look, my dear kids, right in our family, we have a gender injustice. We have discrimination. We want to make our society fair. We want to make our society just. We want to make our society creative. We want to make our society compassionate. And we are indifferent to the injustice within our family. How awkward. Charity begins from home. So for 1 week, they were supposed to upload the photographs of the first bread they cooked, which was like an Indian map, not round. And they were supposed to take photographs of the environment, things, vessels, everything. After 1 week, they were to share the impression from their mother. And the last class, we had a very famous chef, Sanjay Kapoor, and we allowed mothers also to join the class. And we said, let mothers now see the changes that our kids have gone through. And, we asked them, okay, tell us, what were the unmet needs? One of them said, the rolling plate, Balin, it is too low. Its height should be a little higher, because when she bent forward to roll with the rolling pin to make the chapati, the bread, that pain comes here. All these years, we didn't feel this pain. Now we feel the pain because you have to do it yourself. That brings me to the fourth lesson, that while there's a discrimination, while there's injustice, while there is a indifference in our families, among us, towards the problems of our mother, sister, and our maidservant and others with whom we work, we should sometimes do things ourselves. So if you bring water in the mountain from a long distance, if the stream is far away, do it once or twice yourself. Then you see the pain that it causes if the transportation system of drinking water supply is not good. Then you see what needs to be done for making the transportation or communication or distribution better. And I'll give you some examples that we found how this process of immersive learning can generate a lot of innovations. So kids saw that many times in Cherrapunji, Meghalaya, which received the highest rainfall, we had a Shodhyatra. And we observed that there was a line of utensils, buckets, outside a water tap in a street. What? In an area where you have 35,000 millimeter rainfall, people are waiting in the queue to get water from a tap. What is happening here? So we posed this problem. And a kid observed, sir, first problem is that we don't know when the water will come, so we have to keep waiting. So another kid said, you know what? When the water comes, initially there is a lot of air which comes out of the tap. Can we not put a whistle there? Because the whistle will ring a few minutes before the water comes. So we can then get an alarm that now the water is going to come, let us all gather and we will not waste our time waiting for the water. How nice, how creative, simple idea. Could be done. So step by step, we solved the problem. Before we solved the problems of water, in situ water storage, as some of you have mentioned, that water should be stored where it falls, in situ storage, in situ conservation. In situ means where it occurs. So let me come to the last point, that there are a lot of people who, unlike us, are not indifferent to the persistent inertia. What is inertia? When we have seen an unmet need, we have noticed it. If we had not noticed, okay, we can understand that problem. That's a separate issue. How to make us conscious, how to make us more aware of the unmet needs around us. But when we have seen a problem and we have not done anything about it, that is a conscious decision of not doing anything about a problem that we have seen, then we need to be careful and ask ourselves, are some people who have noticed this problem and solved it? And these are called grassroots innovators, people who are creative, who solve problems with their own genius. And we should look for such people, learn from them. And these people can be at any level, in any part of a society. It can be a gardener in your society, it can be a lift person, it can be a newspaper vendor, it could be a maid who comes to help you in the kitchen and domestic help. Anybody could have ideas to solve problems. So never ever think that those who are economically privileged are also consciously, intellectually privileged. I have argued all through my life that mind on the margin are not marginal mind. That's a subtitle of my book on grassroots innovations. And please remember that if there are people who are less privileged than us, they may be poor in money, but they may not be poor in mind. Be respectful to learn from common people. Go and talk to them, sit with them, listen to them. Okay, there is a problem that we have. What do you suggest? How can we solve? So if there's a problem of automobile, as some of you have given suggestion about cleaning, can we talk to a roadside mechanic and talk to that person? So if you were, how would you solve it? We have this idea, will it work? Do you think there's a better way? No harm in talking about and learning and getting feedback from those who work with their hands. Please remember, when we work with our hands, either in the garden or in the playground or wherever, our mind works differently. So I strongly encourage you all, my dear friend, before I conclude, to say that if you want your reflexes to be sharp, if you want to notice the unmet needs of our society, if you want to be impatient with inertia, if you want to be fair and just to women in family and society, and also to the disadvantaged people, then be humble and be ready to learn from them. Listen to them first, learn from them, and leverage their ideas. And I'm sure some of you will be great innovators, but those who are not great innovators, don't feel disheartened. You will be the great enhancer. You will be the great driver. You will provide the speed to those ideas of which you were not the generator, but you were the promoter. So please remember, all of us have a role to play in an innovation ecosystem. Not all of us can be equally good problem solver, but we can be solution spreader. We can be solution enhancer. We can scale the solutions. So let me, friends, thank Shankar, Santhan, and everybody else here who gave me this opportunity to talk to you all. And you can always write to me. My email is very simple, anilg@gian.org. The organizers will give you this address. Write to me and tell me the unmet needs that you have started to notice now after this wonderful camp that you have had with all the partners in this program. I was going through a little bit about NIEM and others, and I'm so happy that all of you are very passionate people who have come together from different walks of life, different organizations, different disciplines, different domains, and trying to invest in the creativity and compassion and collaboration of these students. So good luck to you all, and do well. And the Honeybee Network, Jan and Srishti, all of us are together with you. And whenever you have a creative idea, do write to us, and we will try to see whether we can publish it, whether we can give visibility, voice, or velocity to your idea. That's what Honeybee Network does. Thank you so much. Good luck.